Welcome back, YouTube. I've returned in the new year, and I hope everyone's having a good new year with another episode. Um, I I tried to improve my mic a little bit. I know I was like blowing in it when I would say certain things. Tried to distance it a little bit more. Tried to put a cover over it, so maybe I won't blow your eardrums out this time. No guarantees. Anyway, we're doing the same thing. If you weren't here for the first round, I'm ranking every anime I've ever watched. Actually, I was thinking about it today. There's a few I think I did leave off, like Miss Monochrome and like some others. Um, I think I mentioned that in the last video. There's actually like quite a few that I left out, but the general sense, and some of these I combined. Like this is representative of like some of the high school DxD seasons. This is representative of some of the other ones, and I'll clarify that when we get to those shows on exactly what seasons I'm talking about and all that sort of thing. Um, Like for example, this is Black Rock Shooters. The OVA I thought was a lot better than the original series, but we can hash that out as it comes. I also wanted to do something I never do. Very shameless of me. Um, these videos are not getting a lot of views, and so of course I never do the like, subscribe stuff. Um, and I'm not gonna do that yet. I will in a moment. But first, I wanted to tell you that I'm pretty sure YouTube is censoring my content because I like to say fun words like nigger, faggot, Jew. It's just that's just how it goes. Um, I find these things funny. I don't mean any malice towards anyone when I say them. I just I hate even having to clarify that for people. Why do we live in such a sensitive age? I'll never know, but it's the one I was born into. We were born into. So, um, yeah, I don't hate anyone. Uh, if you've watched some of my other videos, you know I'm a very devout Christian, so I'm called to love everyone. Blah blah blah. Like, I hate having to do any of these qualifiers. You should just like enjoy the content, and it's okay. You have permission to laugh. It's all right. It's okay. Um, it's my only attempt at comedy. I don't have many facets of comedy. I really only have like dad jokes and racism. So please bear with me. A tad bit of sexism in there, and maybe some xenophobia. These are my lanes of humor. So if you guys like that, like and subscribe because I'd like to get some more views on these videos just so it reaches people. I'm not like expecting to get thousands of views even on stupid lowbrow content like this. But I am looking to get like maybe a couple hundred because I think that would be good just for people to who might like it, like you maybe do, or will decide if you do or don't shortly. Um, I think it might be cool for them to also, you know, see it for themselves, see if they also get a kick out of it. If anyone gets a kick out of this, you got to be me, I think, or you want to be angry. And actually, without further ado, I'll pick one that'll make many people angry because I have a very unpopular opinion on it. There's two very clear sides to this show, and I am one who sort of has I think, a unique take, and that's Mushoku Tensei. Now I'm gonna lump Mushoku Tensei. I don't think I have another picture on here for it. I'm thinking I'm lumping it into one entire show. And yes, I'm picking my shows this time around for now. I'll probably do a couple random ones until I'm tired of this, but I don't think that'll be for a little bit because I feel like talking about anime. So, Mushoku Tensei, I'm talking about it as a whole because I think the story I think the story should be seen as a whole, but I'll draw some distinctions here and there as they appear. So not to worry. It's another favorite of my late friends, and after a lot of effort, I have slightly improved my opinion on it, but I think that's still gonna land it. I think it's still gonna land it in C tier. Nah, I have to say D tier. I guess you could say it's in between, but if I have to pick one or the other, I'm gonna pick D tier. And here's why. Many people off bat, I actually did a little bit of a series on this. I still have, well, if I can ever get my old hard drive back from being bricked, I will have some more episodes about reviewing some of the later episodes of this one. I just wanted to address the two sides that I think are firmly staunched on their opinions of it. There are the crazy libs, okay, the crazy, um, very pretentious pearl clutchers who will say the main character is a pedophile and will say he's a disgusting human being. And on that basis, they feel creeped out by it and they don't want to watch it. I actually sympathize with a few of those criticisms, but I'll come back to it. I think the other side, who generally likes it, is like it's such a good world building fantasy with so many amazing elements that were ahead of its time. And it doesn't look like it's ahead of its time because it took forever to animate the thing, but it was pretty early on in the isekai genre. And I think they like it for those reasons, the kind of action adventure wonder reasons of exploring this unknown world that the main character is put into. And I see a couple of those things, but call me a lib. I actually sympathize a little bit more with the libs on this one. So I'll tell you kind of my take, which I think is a blend of the two, but also unique. My problem with it, first and foremost, is it has really bad writing. Really, really, really bad writing. Um, Not everywhere. The character writing is pretty good to a point, and then it's like somebody who hated the show took over writing the characters and then just destroyed them slowly in front of you. So I will say that the it's so confusing because it's like season one part one, season one part two. That's how they released it. So I'll try to be consistent with that. Season one part one. I thought it was. I would have probably put that one near B tier. Maybe dropped it down to C, but near B tier. It's pretty close to that. And this is where I draw distinctions between the different parts of the show. And I'm going off the anime, though I have read the manga, and though everyone goes, no, read the light novel. I don't really feel like it. I've invested a lot into this show that I don't even like the show. And I don't think it's ever coming back from the brink, as far as I am concerned. But back into my issues, because, this is in depth, so we go in depth. The main character and his. Okay, let's address the libs. The lefties, the pretentious pearl clutchers, who generally don't understand a good story, I would say, dare I say. Not all of them, but maybe some of them just happen to be wrong. But they would say that this main character is a pedophile and a creep. And in conversations with my friends, it's a bit of a analogy to that position. The question always comes up: Hey, man, if you were born as a chick, wouldn't you be lesbian? I'd be lesbian, right? No way. I'm not letting some dude do anything he wants with. Ew, gross, nasty. I'm a straight guy. I'm not gonna know. And I actually think that's gay. I think that's a gay understanding of reality because we're gonna go a little bit into the modern political realm here. It's the same thing as if suddenly, which I don't believe this is possible, but suddenly I fall asleep, wake up the next morning, and I go, "Wow, I'm in the wrong body. I'm supposed to be a woman, but I'm not. I've never been a woman. How could I wake up one day?" And I know I'm not saying like for trannies or whatever that's how that happens. Maybe for some it is, but I'm not saying it's. I'm sure it's a process. I'm sure it's a slow degradation of the mind to give you gender dysphoria. But if that were to happen, you would have to acknowledge your reality, just as you would have to acknowledge your reality if you were born into a female body, reborn isekai into a female body. And that reality necessitates that you comply to what you see before you. It's pretty important. Otherwise, you're going to live a much more difficult life, probably much less fulfilling life. It's going to be bad overall. You might feel better, but the fruits of those feelings are never going to, it's never going to happen. You're never going to get any fruit because you're acting outside or discordant with reality. And so that analog comes right back to Mushoku Tensei. I could give you a little more detail about the waking but a female thing. It's like I think you get it. As hard it would be to convince yourself to marry a man with the mind of a man and a woman, your physical reality before you is undeniable. And you realize that essentially if you don't act according to it, you're kind of definitionally insane because you're allowing a belief that's purely in your head to have more of an influence over your life than what's before you, what you can actually see and touch and understand about the world that you live in, and that other people can confirm around you too. So it's not just your own perception, it's multiple people's perception. You're a woman, for example, all of a sudden in the isekai world. What do you do? Well, you have to comply or go insane. Those are options. And you can go insane and be like, well, I feel a lot better that way, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, like I just said before, you're going to end up childless, unhappy, disregarded by society. The list goes on. So your best interest is to rewire your brain to recognize that you are female all the way up into your brain. If you were truly reborn, this is a hypothetical. It could obviously never happen outside of a fantasy setting. Blah, of course. Let's move on from that obvious axiom we have to start with. So then we have how it translates into Mushoku Tensei. So you're, uh, I forget, I think he's like 40-year-old man or whatever, late 30s, I forget, and you're born into this other world as a kid. You have to adjust to your reality now. You're now young. When you turn 16, you obviously cannot go after, 50, 60-year-old women. It's not, it's the same kind of problems you're going to face when you interact with people under that circumstance. Now, I guess you could argue because this fantasy world also has characters that look a lot younger but are a lot older, like Lise. You could argue maybe you go after them, but they're like so much older. Like I'm sure you could find one within that age range, which I guess is really when you're talking about it, it's Roxy. We could go after that, but then all of that side that I was just kind of elaborating on what they have to say, the crazies, the pearl clutchers, they they don't like that either because she looks like a little girl. So you can't win. And that's why I hate that section of I don't think they're really a fan base, but critics. It's because you can't win. You can't have a nice fantasy with different things and different races that look differently and present themselves differently. You can't have it if you're going to exist in that way. And that severely limits your creativity and your enjoyment of creative works. Because other people don't have that limitation. They can understand that it's fiction and fantasy and enjoy it for what it is. So I would encourage those people to stop clutching the pearls quite so much because it's going to inhibit you having fun, especially in this genre. You're just going to have fun. So that they criticize him for all those kinds of things, and I think it's again discordant with his new reality. You have to adapt with that new reality. Otherwise, you're going to actually be doing something far more disordered than than you would if you just adapted. Because the reality is, it doesn't really matter how old his mental age is. There's plenty of younger people who have a mental age much older than them. I sometimes think I'm one, like I have a bunch of old man habits, but I'm really not old. Well, yet. Um, and people tell me that, and but that's just me. That's just the type of things that I like to do. I like to drink scotch. I don't know. Most people are drinking mixers at my age, but I don't. Well, I do sometimes, but not usually. That's not the point. Um, I will drink what is put before me. Okay, put it that way. But I prefer scotch, just as an example. And this happens all over everywhere. So to say that someone's like mental age is going to be a limiting factor in how they can live their life. I mean, it's the same thing for somebody who might have Down syndrome. I mean, you have to tell that kid the same thing, that he's never going to be anything other than like a big, oversized 8-year-old. That's pretty rough. I don't believe that. I've seen Down syndrome kids do amazing things, even despite their stunted development. I think that whole thought process is flawed and really besides the point that the author's trying to um, get across, which is this guy's getting a second chance and he has a chance to do better. And he doesn't really do better a lot of the time. And I will say that's pretty disheartening. I'd like to see a lot more of a malleable character, of a growing character, not a static one. And I think he kind of goes back and forth between growing in some ways, like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be a fat slob, all right, but I'm still gonna be a pervert. Don't really like that. It's like I'd rather you be a bit more physically and impressive and just not be a creep. So that's when I sympathize with them. Is it's difficult to watch this guy kind of fail again. You're hoping so much for him not to, and then he does again. And it's kind of hard to watch. I still think this is, again, going to be a long expose on Mushoku Tensei, because, first of all, it's an anime I already dealt with before, and so I have a lot of thoughts on it because I've broken it down for content before, and also just because that's the nature of this. But anyway, let's get into it. So, first season, part one, I really enjoyed the first few episodes. The preliminary stuff aside that I just mentioned, after you get over that, I really enjoyed the first few episodes, and I thought that there was a lot of hope in it. I thought this loving family around him and him realizing that they really did love him and what he was missing in his past life was really awesome. And I'm sure that did contribute to some of the growth that he actually does undergo. I think it should have just been more. Um, but it's kind of an interesting thing that it broaches is its nature versus nurture. Is what it's talking about. His nature was what it was, and how much can someone nurture that out of you? And I guess the author's conclusion is not all of it, but maybe a little bit. And that's an okay conclusion to reach. I think maybe that's somewhat true. So I didn't hate that part of the writing. But then I can tell that the writer gets restless. He's done probably tons of concept papers writing, probably sketched stuff out, probably did all kinds of stuff about this massive fantasy world that he built, and he could not sit still and just let a good thing be a good thing and let this more naturally develop. He had to give you just a couple episodes, really, and then throw pretty much the main character at such a young age. I mean, yeah, it's a good thing he has the mind of a 40-year-old or whatever at this point, because you throw a 5-year-old into a teaching role with a princess in a faraway land where he's never even left his house, really, barely. I mean, he walks around town, I guess, at this point, but that was difficult for him. And then he just gets thrown into this, and I was like, A, that's pretty unrealistic. B, I was just settling in. I was just getting used to this. I get it. It's not like a slice of life. You can't sit there forever, but and I get it. You only have so many episodes, but even in the manga that I was reading, because I was hoping for a bit more of a long stay at, his home village. Was it Buena Village? Buena Village, I think. He didn't. He gets thrown in this whole thing. But I kind of acclimated to that, and I was like, okay, well, you wanted to introduce these characters, and these characters are pretty cool. I loved Eris, especially in the beginning, and some of these other. I mean, I really hated Ghislaine. You probably saw that in my video series at first, but she grew on me actually. I was like, well, she's like a weird muscle tanned woman that she could have just been designed so much better and not like actually a man with breasts. But she kind of grew on me. She was, a really solid character and someone who was solid for these two young kids. I liked what she brought to the show. And then while he's there, I noticed that they were getting a little bit more into the furry stuff, and I mean furry stuff. I'm not talking about like just ears and tail. They start to reveal there's like a beast race. They're all weirded out by like beast. Well, they're all weird for, I should say, the beast race, or at least part of his family is. And that was kind of strange. I was like, really? Do we have to go full furry? Like that just makes me think all these people are furries and weird. Like they have some weird obsession. So I didn't like that much, but it wasn't a big negative. That was a minor detail. And I was just getting settled into this new setting. Roa? I think it was Roa. I could be totally wrong, but I think it was Roa. And I was enjoying it. I was like, you know what? This was an okay move. I probably would have still done it a little differently, a little more slow, but okay, that's fine. But he gets restless again, and this is a reoccurring thing. He just can't let a good thing build naturally and be a good story. He has to jolt and uproot everything. And then the I'll get to it later, but then the end message, the end takeaway, it's all trash. It's all garbage. And that's what makes the whole show terrible. For me. Well, I mean, obviously I gave it a D because it has really good art, really good music, and some good characters for at least part way through. And then you like never see half of them again. Oh wow. Um, anyway, so then he has to uproot them again. So then the calamity happens. And they all get transported to the demon continent, and then you have to see the demons and everything because, oh my gosh, look at this really cool bunch of demon races that I designed, and look at all this territory. And now you have like a bit of a map, and you can kind of see all these regions. Oh my gosh. But this was at the cost of more development from the characters that are now at stake. This is a writing flaw, I would argue. Uh, you've developed these characters, now they're all separated, and yes, I get it. You want them to all come back together again so they can be developed. And I get that he also wanted to be realistic about it, so not all of them can come back necessarily. Like it's not going to be a perfect happy ending. I get that, but again, if you'd had more lead up to that, that would have hit way harder. But it kind of flops because you care about the characters, but not enough to be like to have your heart in it so much, at least for me. Um, and then just for it to end to where some of these characters you built up, but you wanted to see a lot more building later, they either die or are lost or whatever, and you don't actually get to build them up later. I'm not saying he did this for every character. He definitely brought some characters back, and they had a goodish development after that, arguably for some of them. But a lot of them, I was pretty uh, unimpressed with how he continued their character writing. I guess after that, there's not a whole lot more to say. It just keeps dragging on, and then you see each character that you once liked take a turn for the worse. You see Eris get to be more barbaric and unreasonable and weird, and I guess you could say that's just him writing a realistic woman in that situation. But I think that this is a fantasy. Can't we dream a little bit and have her turn out all right? And then you have to top it all off the romance that begins to build. Try not to spoil too much stuff. But then the romance ends horrifically for the main character and for the other girl, and you're kind of left there going, what was that all for? I mean, if this character that's so integral to the series is now gone, the main character is destroyed about it. This other character, Ruijerd, is gone. What am I watching now? And I guess someone that could speak to them, and then you have to see him rebuild, and you have to see him find purpose again and struggle. But it was just so monotonous for me, and there was nothing good in it. I don't know how else to put it. There was nothing rich and interesting in it. It was just a depressive grind, and a grind that took up so much more time of the show that could have been dedicated beforehand to more development early on. And I think most people really just stopped liking it at that point, lost a bit of interest, even people who really stuck with it, especially during the Academy arc. That thing just drug on and on and on. And then you have a couple familiar faces, come back, like his siblings, and then nothing really happens with them. You have a slight bit of development from Norn, but it's not in a good way. Like the girl's still struggling, and he doesn't know how to help her exactly. He's trying his best, but there's also some words that he used or withheld rather. I think is more right to say to her about her problem. That I was like, dude, you should know how to talk to someone who's going through this. You went through this. Um, I thought the arc with Nanahoshi was terrible. I was like, really? So she's depressed to almost the point of suicide, and then she's just okay because you like because she it was just almost magical. There really wasn't any reason for it. Then you have the romance that he starts building. I guess I'm gonna say some spoilers with Sylvie. But the whole thing about having someone return who was a previous love interest to be a new love interest, and then you do the whole thing where they don't know their identity. It's been done before. This is the worst case of it I've ever seen. I think anybody could recognize Sylvie. Like, I don't know. Other people are like, well, her hair color changed and all this other crap. It's like, dude, it's so easy to recognize it. It would have been fine if they like did that for a couple episodes or something. That would have been fine. But they did it for almost an entire season. And the only reason it stopped was because other outside forces tried to matchmake for them. That was so dumb. That just made the romance seem so cheap. And I hated the taste left in my mouth after watching that. I was like, really? Oh, how romantic. I have to get some friends to convince this guy that I'm me. Because I'm so anxious that if I actually reveal who I am on my own, that he might not like me in the same way. It's psychobabble. It's just psychobabble writing. Just write a story. That's what I want to say to the Mushoku Tensei creator. Just write a story, man. You don't need to get all in your own head about it. The only time you need to get in your own head about it is if it actually adds something interesting to the story. None of that was interesting. That was just a waste of everyone's time. I think that's most of what I have to say about it. That pattern just continues and continues and continues, and the main character kind of gets better and then gets worse, and then it just gets all freaking weird. And then you get into the polygamy aspect later, and just like harems have been done before, but I wasn't. I would say like the only romance I felt was Eris, and then it was Shattered, and then after that it was Roxy, but only because I think I've been in a similar situation in my life before, and you just feel. I mean, if you've had that experience, you do resonate with it, but I don't think a lot of people have. Like, how many times have you had some girl who you just thought was hopeless, but like had some redeeming qualities, and you really wanted to be with her because you thought, well, she's probably not going to get anyone else. That's kind of his calculation there. But then everyone's okay with it somehow. I think it's really bad. I think it's really gross. I think it's what you get when you don't have boundaries to a story. You just go wherever the hell you want. Boundaries make a good writing. Boundaries make good poetry. You have to have meter. You have to have rhyme. There are things that once you operate properly within those constraints, you create something far more beautiful than if you exceed those constraints, and then it just becomes a pile of unrecognizable mush. And I have to say that's Mushoku Tensei. I'm sorry. I wanted to like it. I gave it so much of a chance. I'm gonna keep, reading it, but I'm reading it for nothing at this point. It's just not good. I could probably talk a lot more about that, but I think I've blabbed so much about that we're probably only gonna have time for like one more this episode. So that is what it is. Um, Given that we only have time for one more, I think I'll do a random. How about that? I think because if I pick another one that I actually have thought of before, I know I'll just blab and blab and blab. So do a random. I'll make sure I get like the whole thing in the screen. Okay, closing eyes. Oh my god, it's fun doing the random, guys. It's fun. Okay, Moetan. Oh my goodness, Moetan. Holy crap. This is one of those shows that only the OGs know, only the real niggas know. You know a real nigga if you mention Moetan, and he's like, "Yeah, I know that shit." And you're like, "What? What a man, what a gentleman, what a scholar, what a cultured individual." So if you want to be regarded by the OGs as those things, watch Moetan. That said, based on its actual quality, I gotta give it a B. Yeah, I think it's a solid B tier. And some people, if they've watched that, they've watched Mushoku Tensei, and they actually like Mushoku Tensei, and they don't agree with my uh, counters to it. And I have more counters. I just only have so much time for just video like this. Uh, and some of those are contained in my series. So if you want to know more about what I think about Mushoku Tensei, go watch my React videos. I guess you'd call them React. I call them rants and reviews because React videos are gay. But anyway, Moetan. I think yeah, this will be the last one. This is a great one to end on. So we'll just do this for real quick. Um, Maybe one more. I feel like three is a good number. We'll see. Moetan is like freaking. It's pure comedy with like lolly and magical girl themes, but the comedy is so it just everyone's sense of comedy is different. For me, the comedy hits wonderfully. There's other comedy shows, comedy animes, I should say, like Kill Me Baby. A lot of people that doesn't resonate with. I think that's hilarious, but this is not Kill Me Baby. This is like more of a standard type, I would say, of comedy that you would expect, I guess, from an anime. At least me, it's more in the realm of like Seitsukai no Ichizan or something like that. Um, what to say? Like I don't know what to say about the show other than like I guess some of the more viral scenes of it would be like today's English lesson, and they're doing like an English lesson. It's like actually an outro. It's like an ED or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and they're the I'm gonna play it for you. I'll just play it for you.
萌え断コーナー。こんにちは、パステルインクです。今日の萌え断コーナーはこれ。気に入った。うちに来て妹とファックしていい？これを予約すると。I like you. Come over to my house and fuck my sister. 覚えたかな？
Okay, that's the type that's the type of comedy you have in this show, and I just it's all throughout, it's all weaved in, and they let your guard down sometimes because it just seems almost like a cute girl doing cute girl thing show every now and then with like slight etchy, not heavy, like very slight etchy, and just a ridiculously moe blob kind of character. Um, Going about and doing stuff that's just so moe and oh it's so it plays on the moe trope until it is satirically dead. So I loved it. Not it wasn't like a deconstruction or anything. It is just it was literally just doing that until you were like, this is this is total high absurdity, and then making it more absurd, and then adding like absolutely hilariously cheeky jokes here and there, back and forth. It's just a ride that's like it's like I'm trying to compare it to other animes, but I don't want to shit on those animes because I love them. But I was gonna say it's like Lucky Star, but with actual like setup and then punchline of jokes, not like Japanese slapstick. I forget what they call that. Yeah, manzai. So it's not like manzai. In that like I think manzai is hilarious, but other people think it's terrible because it makes the viewer sit there and watch something for no point sometimes, just to that you're never sure when the joke's actually gonna happen. They'll just go on these rants, and you're like, am I just watching people rant? Am I just like watching a weird dialogue happen with silly sounds, and then all of a sudden like something hilarious happens? Moetan is not like that. Lucky Star, um, Kill Me Baby, they're more like that. Moetan's more of a true comedy, I would say. Just filtered through the Moe Blob magical girl lolly, just like all that combined into a cauldron and simmering in the most beautiful way. And you look into the cauldron, and that's what you see. Moetan. That's the best way I can explain it. I'm probably blown into my mic when I laugh. I'm sorry. I would give it a watch. It really is a B tier for what it is. Of course, it's not going to change your life. I don't think. Maybe it will, but it's something that you'll probably reference for years and years to come. It's just, it's awesome. Go watch Muay Thai. It's definitely solidly in B tier. Yeah, that didn't take too long. Just because I can't think of it's a comedy anime, so like I can't give in-depth analysis of it episode by episode like I can with Mushoku. It's just like is it good comedy, is it bad comedy, and like it's not your typical manzai. It's definitely something more funny. I would say. I don't know. I like manzai myself, but I'm saying generally, I think people from the West would enjoy Muay Thai a lot more than like Kill Me Baby or something. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, we're definitely doing one more. All right, closing eyes. Is this the most controversial one so far? I don't know. Mushoku Tensei might have been decently controversial, but actually, if you think about it, No Game No Life Zero is probably pretty controversial compared to You know how I did the comparison, and also the fact that Shuvi is a little girl android. Oh no. Um. Anyway, Kiss X Sis. If you haven't heard of Kiss X Sis, where have you been? Like really? Where have you been? Do you just watch like Jutsu Kaisen all day? Love Jutsu Kaisen. Oy vey. Is that all you do? Because you really need to branch out if that's the case. Or did you just start watching anime during the pandemic? That's pretty gay, bro. Uh, you got some ground to make up, so get started. And another good one to start with is Kiss X Sis. How can you hate this show? Honestly, I get it if she's not for you. It is a little excessive in spots, but for the most part, it's kind of nice. It's kind of normal. Kiss X Sis is, yeah, yeah, it's a B tier. It's too legendary to not be at least a B tier, I think. And it's legendary for good reason because I think the writing of it is pretty dang good. I like the romance aspects. I mean, I guess you could say it's almost a tropey story now, but I felt like at the time it really wasn't too tropey. It was pretty, I would say it was somewhat unique at the time, especially in anime. Like maybe it was a dojin trope at the time, but in anime, I don't think it was quite as much of a trope. Other than like, there's always the little sister character that's present and a possible, I guess, love interest. But to actually have a show dedicated around to that could be, it's great. The worst part about the show, in my opinion, is that the sisters aren't blood related. That's some pussy. That's some pussy stuff, man. Come on. Like, I hate it when people beat around the point. Like, this is the point of what you're trying to put forth, and then you're just trying to make that point more palatable to potential audiences. I don't know, man. Like, Yusuke no Sora will always reign supreme for that reason, because they just like attacked it, they hit it, we'll get into it. We'll get into that one. But Kiss X Sis is still really fun. It's still really good. I think the comedy is just great. I think the differences between the two sisters are so fun. They're not polar opposites, but they have distinct differences, and they make you endear to them for one reason or another. You know, I'm a Rico man. Okay, I'll always be a Rico man. That wasn't always the case. I used to be the other way around. But um, so yeah, I don't. It's another anime. I don't know a whole lot to say about. It's exactly what you would expect when you think about main character going and living with his two stepsisters for the first time, and they're all the similar age. What do you think's gonna happen? Yeah, yeah. And they love him, and they're kind of going after him, and he's a little bit more hesitant. But you know, the typical. It is tropey. It is typical anime stuff. But it's like really good. It's just you want that healthy dose of tropiness. It's like every now and then you want a little spice to your food. It's the same thing. You just need a hearty bit of protein. Well, that protein tropes. Every now you just have to have them. Anime is not anime without tropes. Then you get something like Soulless, like Vinland Saga. I don't think I have this on this list. I don't think I do. Mostly because I dropped it. I didn't finish it because it was so bad. Vinland Saga F2 F2. I refuses to elaborate. There were good things about it, don't get me wrong, but it's not an anime. It's just not. It's like Western slop essentially, but made from a Japanese studio. Really sad. Kiss Exis. What else to say about Kiss Exis? It goes too far sometimes with ecchi. It does. It's a little sometimes it's a little disturbing, and I was like, but I also get it. In a show like that, you got to push limits. You got to be provocative. You got to, and that's why it is so provocative. That's why you know its name more than likely, because it did push those limits. So I can't hate on it too much. I can for other shows, but I can't hate on that too much, because the rest of the show is really not bad. Like it's not a show promoting anything that I would say is bad. Um, I suppose if you're a Orthodox Jew and you believe, you know, in those old Jewish Old Testament stuff, you know, not even to mess around with your stepsister, well, then maybe you do think it's bad. But I don't abide by that. I'm a more of a New Testament fellow. I think, not though not exclusively. Don't get me wrong. Um, but I think Leviticus was written for the old Hebrews, not so much us. I don't know why I go on to diatribes about that. I think I've done that like once or twice so far. I'm just in that mood, okay? But I love Kasexis. It's always one of those ones that I want to go back to every now and then and rewatch and just it has a lot of rewatchability, I'd say. It's very fun the first time, maybe slightly less fun the second time, but still fun. And it's kind of something you and the boys can all get around and just laugh at and have a good time and fantasize a little bit, and just be like, oh man, I wish I had a cute little young sister. Damn, that's that's rough, man. I'm jealous of this man. And the comedy keeps it rolling, and that she's a nice touch every now and then. And what's not to like? What's not to like? Why would you hate on kids like this? Stop it. You're just a pussy. You're just trying to virtue signal or something, man. Like Kiss Fix This is good. Just it's okay. It's okay. You can see a panty shot every now and then. You can. It's all right. It's not gonna make you weird. It's okay. It's all right. It's a nice little touch. The toppings accentuate the dish. Okay. You need the toppings. Okay. But you can't eat straight toppings. It can't just be straight hentai. Yes, of course not. But you need the toppings. Come on. Come on. You gotta admit it. You can't be stuck up your whole life. I'm stuck up about certain things. Um, but not that. That has a nice place in art form. You gotta have beauty, and ultimately, beauty breeds perversion a little bit, and it's all happening in your own mind. You know, it's like those feminists who say I should be able to walk down the street naked. You should be able to not think twice about it. It's all happening in your head, man. But it really is. They're actually right. Um, Although that's an unreasonable request. I don't think it's an unreasonable request to, you know, keep it in your pants when you see some polka dot underwear. Like, come on, dude. Come on. I'd hate to see you at a classical art gallery where you have female nudes painted beautifully. You're gonna get a stiffy there too. Weirdos. That's weird. That's way weirder than watching Kiss Exist. I'll tell you that right there, right there. But I still want to do one more. Like I'd want one more. It's been like half an hour. I think I can't do another. Can I? I have to. I'm sorry. It's gonna be a long video. Should I pick this one? No, I can't pick this one. It's gonna take too long. I'm gonna be mulling it over too much. Okay, closing eyes. Oh my, this is the original Initial D. Holy crap. Holy crap, the original Initial D. Oh, Initial D. Definitely different than what we have been doing so far. Although I do have some sports here somewhere, like All Out and stuff. We'll get into those. But Initial D, guess you could call it the first sport anime. It's motorsports, kind of. It's illegal motorsports. It's really freaking good. Initial D is undoubtedly an A tier. It's definitely an A tier. And that's not because of its animation, let me tell you that. This is from 1998. It's an old show. If you want, I will talk about it later, but I'll keep these separate. Maybe now I have to just do all the initial Ds, and maybe that'll be the next episode. Man ranks all initial Ds. Yeah, this is 1998. Like the animation's really bad, but if you want better animation, they did remake them into 3 movies. They're kind of cut up, and they don't show you a lot of good stuff. They have to cut their corners when they're making it into a small format like that. Small for the breadth of this series. I think the first season had 25 episodes, 24. The first season, and I'll just talk about the first season for now because I could compare it to all the others. But the first season is excellent. I will probably, yeah, it's definitely the best one of all of them, despite the weird 98 low budget animation. And don't get me wrong, like I'm the first person to hate 3D, especially when it looks like bad. But you see the 98 3D and you think about the budget for the show, and you're like, at the time it was shot in the dark, basically. I mean, not really. They had Kichiya on there. Like that man's a legend, so I mean, someone's gonna watch it. But still, um, it's bad and it looks bad. But when you think about 1998, I mean, that was a long time ago. I remember those days. It doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that bad for 1998. You think of PS1 graphics. This is like almost like PS2 graphics. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for that time period. Probably even a little bit better than some PS2 games, if I'm being honest. Depending on the one. I guess you could call it like AAA PS2 material as far as the 3D, which is it's okay. You get used to it. You also get used to the weird looking characters in it. They look a little weird. Their character designs weren't fantastic, but um, th- you kind of blot it all out because it's not that kind of show. You're not really looking at the characters. You're not really. It's not like in Kiss Exis. You're not looking at the beauties of everybody around. It's about the cars. It's about racing. That's the beauty that they're trying to highlight, and they do the best job of any anime certainly. That's I mean, unless you want to talk about like freaking Overtake, or you, please don't talk about Overtake to me. Or if you want to talk about High Speed Italy, or if you want to talk about God, MF Ghost. Ugh. 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 Oh no, I'm an initial D man. No, no, no. MF Ghost is garbage. Get it out of here. I watched like 2 or 3 episodes. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? People are watching this? The people aren't. A lot of the people who I know who are quote unquote MF Ghost fans, which is just to give people who aren't familiar with the series, that's like the new version of this made by some of the same people and writers, I think. Um, but it's a totally different setting. It's a totally different format. It's not illegal street racing, so you lose all of that allure and coolness and like old school Japanese, like the freaking Tokyo Drift stuff. You lose it all. It's just like stupid long course style racing and cars that half the cars you've already seen. You see them, they're traffic, dude. They're not special. Initial D's like old shit boxes, old sick R32s, old sick Evos, like all this cool stuff that you get to see in the show. And it really feels exotic. It really feels cool. And it really feels real because a lot of the people who were consultants and helped write it, well, maybe they won't come out and say they did street racing, but they're professional racers. At least now they are. The whole story of the show is cool. It's your typical, like, almost shonen setup where you have the main character um, not really knowing his full potential or abilities that he's been gaining just from doing everyday stuff, where he's driving up and down a mountain delivering tofu. That translates into trying to do that really quickly. Um, in doing that really quickly, he learns how to drift and he learns how to race without him even knowing it. And before anyone knows it, especially him, he's one of the fastest people on the downhill in the mountain that he lives nearby. And so this attracts attention because they think it's his dad. His dad was like a retired race car driver and stuff too. Then you have this progression, where he's realizing what he really is, what he's really capable of, and then he starts progressing. He starts getting better. He starts adapting. He starts finding new things and how to be resourceful and how to actually, all these different variables come into play, and it's all real like stuff that you need to learn in racing. I've done a bit of racing myself, and it's very accurate. Everything that they talk about as far as like tarmac conditions, brake and tire wear, brake and tire management, um, accelerator management, maintenance pedal, just everything. The line, the best line, the best drifting line, the different stats and stuff of each car and how they can exploit those stats, those whatever you want to call them, technical specs to their advantage over somebody else who might have like a more powerful car, but on a curvy track, well, it's not always about power. It's more about maneuverability, maybe even lightness. Those kinds of factors all come in to make each one of these street races that you see in the show super engaging and like I mean I guess I'm talking as from a biased perspective because I love street racing. I definitely haven't done it. No, never. um and I love racing in general, in cars in general. So, I mean, it's a show that's pretty much made for me, and I do love imports, although probably like domestics a little better. But I still do love and have great respect for imports. The progression of the show, like I was saying, is really cool. You see the main character develop from a clueless teenager into like a very competent street racer by the end of the show, and it's just really cool to see. It's cool to see all the people that he battles against, their capabilities, just how hard he's gonna have to fight, just how hard he's gonna have to figure it out. There are certain aspects that's like, okay, come on. He just won that because of that. Like one time he wins because somebody just has bad tire management. And you're thinking, well, this other guy's super experienced. How can he have bad tire management? But it just happens. Sometimes even when you're experienced as a racer, you make a mistake. You just do. You get overzealous. Sometimes you get locked in someone else's zone. Sometimes they're going and hitting a corner this fast. You want to hit that corner that fast. It's just, and then before you know it, your brakes are low, your tires are barely hanging on, and you just can't keep up anymore. And then they win because they had better management because their capabilities or whatever they're dealing with their setup was better. They could handle it, or maybe they were breaking in a different fashion, doing long breaking, whatever. Or maybe they were just making less use of the brakes in general and doing rev match downshifting and all that more, more often or better than you were. Because really, you only need to brake when you're fighting for the limit in most cars. So all that to say, all that info dump, my personal experience info dump, is to say that yes, sometimes you make a mistake, and it happens even to the best of us. It's just how many mistakes do you make? That's the question. How often do you make them? Um, that's what tells you a good driver in this scenario. Not that I know anything about this specific scenario, but yeah, Initial D, best racing anime of all time. I guess unless you count Uma Musume. Nah, I'd say it's probably better than Uma Musume. Um, the characters are really well done. The writing's really good. The progression's really good. The animation's not so good. The music's 10 out of 10. It literally created an entire meme genre around Eurobeat. Like everyone loves Eurobeat. So don't go if you watch this in dub and you get the stupid American rock or whatever it is. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna come to your house. I'm gonna find you and I will kill you. Okay. Um, watch Initial D though. It's really cool. And I think that's all I have to say today. So like I said, share this. People who want to hear a guy talk about anime and do hot takes and dissect stuff way more than anyone should. That's probably no one you know. So never mind. Just send it around. Just send it around. I would appreciate it. And if we can like get maybe 200 regular viewers on this, I won't ever mention it again. I swear I hate mentioning it. I feel like such a freaking phony. Like I just want to make content and I want people to enjoy it. But if YouTube's censoring me because I like funny words, well, I'm gonna call them Jews, and that's gonna be the end of the day. So, YouTube, good night, Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a good Christmas and Thanksgiving because I think I posted before Thanksgiving. So I will see you next time.